Welcome back to Royal Productions, your go-to hub for crypto news, blockchain breakthroughs, and everything shaping the infrastructure of the new financial system. And today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin's need to plunge 15% more to the bottom, according to this long-term indicator. Next on the list is former Robinhood crypto COO Tanya Denisova joined stablecoin issuer Agora as head of operations. In Clarity Act's final weeks, its path through U.S. Senate not getting much clearer. All right. Strategies STRC slumps prompts terror comparison that don't hold up, says analyst. Investors pull 2.5 billion from Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, but Hyperliquid and XRP still found buyers. And last on the list, this is some beautiful news out of the EU. But basically, Ripple targets EU, wins preliminary MiCA approval for Luxembourg financial regulator. This is huge news, y'all. Stick around. All that coming up next. All right, Eric, before we get into this news, let's check out these markets really quick. Total market cap sitting at 2.13 trillion. Fear and greed index sitting at 19. Let's click on it. Still at 19. All right, Bitcoin sitting at 62,000. Ethereum at 1,600. XRP at 110. Solana at 68. Hyperliquid at 63. If you guys want to see the rest of these, you can pause it really quick. All right, let's get right into this news I have for you guys today. So Bitcoin may need to plunge 15% or more to mark bottom, according to this long-term indicator. With Bitcoin testing the 200-week moving average, on-chain data suggests the 50,000 to 54,000 range could become the next key battleground. So if you guys want more about this, you guys can click on the articles. They will be down below and you guys can read it for yourself. But as Bitcoin trades near the 200-week moving average, a long-term support indicator currently sitting around 62,000, investors are closely watching whether the level could hold. If the 200 WMA 200-week moving average breaks, attention is likely to shift to Bitcoin's realized price, currently around 53,000, which has historically acted as the final line of support during the major bear markets. So just keep this in mind when dealing with this market. If you guys are doing leveraging and stuff of that nature, the 200 moving week average looks like it's going to come back down. But remember, not financial advice. Always do your own research. Look at these charts and look at it for yourself. Let's take a look at it really quick. This is my major key level. Next one will be at 49. So we have this 60, we have this 59, as you guys can see over here to the left. Those are major levels. Let's zoom out a little bit. Boom. Okay, so it's basically saying it's going to come around this area right here. This is the area it's saying it's going to come down to. And as you guys can see, my support's right here at the bottom of all this mumbo jumbo. So we'll see. Remember, keep your eyes on the chart. Always do your own research. Okay, moving on. Onto some greater news. Former Robinhood crypto COO Tanya, I'm just going to say Tanya, I don't want to butcher his name, but basically is moving into Agora as head of operations. And this is huge because Robinhood came out of nowhere. They built an amazing company, $1 billion company, if not trillion in the future. And they're starting to move people around. So this is good. You know, if people are joining a company that's new and then leaving that company for another company, that means they did something well, because another company is not going to hire them if they weren't doing good at their previous position. But basically, Tanya, the former chief operating officer of Robinhood Crypto, has joined the stablecoin issuer Agora as head of operations, according to Tuesday's blog post by Agora's CEO and co-founder Nick and Ek. So again, in the description, articles will be down there. So if you guys want to look at it, read more about it, you can. All right. In Clarity Act's final weeks, its path through U.S. Senate not going much clearer. So this is the same breakdown. and if you guys been following us for a while, I said this was going to get pushed later on into the year. Now, I'm not sure if it can continue after July just because of how the Senate is and then the voting and new people come into the Senate floor and stuff like that. But basically, this is all about the rewards and yields and stuff of that nature. There's more to it, you know, but for the most part, the banks are scared that most of their money and capital is going to be taken and moved into these new financial markets and things of that nature. But the weeks are growing short for the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act to thread the needle of the U.S. Senate. but talks continue in several distinct negotiations as lawmakers seek to patch the remaining rifts in the crypto industry. Most importantly, policy effort. So this, like I said, this is the policies on how a bank gets to operate compared to a crypto industry, and where they both meet in the middle. Okay, so I don't know when this is going to get signed. Maybe July 4th we have something, but this whole grand stage of things is amazing. We just had the UFC 250 on the White House lawn. That was crazy. We live in some crazy times, y'all. Remember, articles down below. All right, strategies STRC slump prompts Terra comparison that don't hold up, says analyst. And I'm not going to go too much into this. We've been saying here that Michael Saylor and what he does is not stable. He's been here in these positions before and he's failed. What makes us think he's going to succeed this time? And I get it. Failure doesn't mean you fail unless you give up. But in my opinion, when you continue to do the same thing, that's the meaning of insanity, especially if it's not moving you forward. But basically, strategy preferred stock STRC slid to a record lows over the past week, and the fall has revived the comparison of Terra's UST, the stablecoin whose collapse erased 40 million in 2022. So this is not good if they're comparing it to, something that collapsed in the past. I would not want an article like this to be written about my company or what we're doing. But we've covered this before about 2 weeks ago, where their average Bitcoin is sitting underwater. It wasn't in this article, but we've covered it before. But yeah, check it out. Make sure you know what you're doing and getting yourself into with these markets. There's a lot of leveraging. There's a lot of things happening when we talk about the Clarity Act. There's a lot of people pulling their money out. And this leads us right into the next article. Okay. Investors pulled 2.5 billion from Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, but Hyperliquid and XRP still found buyers. So basically, Bitcoin and Ethereum lost about 2.5 billion on June 18th, while Hyperliquid and XRP only lost about 74 million. So people are understanding, like, hey, it's basically your risk analysis. Like, people pulling money out of Ethereum and Bitcoin, and not so much as Hype and XRP. I believe Ethereum's working with real world assets, but Hype and XRP are damn near in the lead when it comes to real world assets, along with Agora and XLM and a couple of other ones, Solana. So when people understand what's really going on with these markets and actually can see, then that's what I love about the blockchain. Everybody can see what's happening at one time. There's not a private ledger on the outside making transactions that you can't see. There are private ledgers out there, but they do not affect the system right now. But as you can see here, this is the June crypto ETF flow charts. Remember, I believe this is just ETFs. I don't believe this is the whole market. So again, do your own research and look down below at the articles, okay? Last on the list for you guys today, Ripple targets EU and wins preliminary MiCA approval from Luxembourg financial regulators. This is huge. When they talk about level playing field, when they talk about interoperability, when they talk about working with different organizations around the world, not just governments, but companies and stuff of that nature, Ripple is leading the way. There's no other company doing what they do. And if there is, please let me know that I'm wrong down below. When it comes to blockchain, when it comes to the financial structure of payments, Ripple is going to lead the way. And then that's it, hands down. I'm sorry if you don't believe that, but you all know where you've been. But Ripple, the blockchain company behind the XRP ledger, is on its way for regulatory approval in the European Union via licensing in Luxembourg. So basically, the San Francisco, California-based firm received a preliminary green light for crypto asset service provider CASP license from the country's Commission de Surveillance du Sector Financier. I can't do it, but yeah, CSSF, under the EU's market and crypto assets MiCA regulation on Ripple on Tuesday. So yeah, this is great for the whole system. This is great for XRP and Ripple. Again, like, you guys have to understand that XRP and Ripple are two different entities, okay? Ripple is the company, XRP is the ledger and the coin. So this is good for the company and the ecosystem of the blockchain of XRP. My name is Louis. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. And until next time, y'all, remember, your mind is your crown. Either take this knowledge or leave it. I'm out. Peace.